Welcome, everyone, to this deep dive.
Yeah.
It's all about the life of Albertina Sisulu,
Oh, yeah.
just a truly incredible figure in the South African anti-apartheid movement. We've got quite a few sources to work with today.
Oh, great.
We have her Wikipedia entry, and then we have a government biography of her,
Awesome.
and a BBC article, and nice mix to get a really good picture of her life. And, I'm excited to go beyond like the typical milestones that you find
Right.
and uncover some of the lesser known parts of her life that show, I think, just how strong,
Yeah.
resilient, and inspiring she really was.
It's a really great point you bring up because often when we think about women in the anti-apartheid movement, we might have some preconceived notions about their roles. And I think Albertina Sisulu's story really challenges that head on
Yeah,
because she was both a powerful force leading the charge, but also navigating this incredibly complex political landscape and raising a family in the midst of, constant oppression.
yeah, absolutely. And to start from the beginning, her story begins in 1918
Okay.
in rural Transkei. She was born non-Sikalotha-Thiwe.
Wow.
Faced hardship right from the start.
Yeah, and those early experiences, I think, really paint a picture of the broader context, too.
Yeah,
Because her father was a migrant worker, which was incredibly common for Black South Africans under apartheid.
Ah,
And tragically, he passed away from lung disease that he contracted in the mines.
right,
And it's just the stark reminder of the dangerous conditions that so many people face.
absolutely. And her mother, sadly, was disabled by the Spanish flu.
Oh, wow.
So Albertina, at a really young age, became the caregiver for her younger siblings and cousins.
Wow.
It makes you think how that responsibility so early in life
Mhm.
must have impacted and shaped her.
Yeah, it's incredible to think about. Not only did she have to take on that role of caregiver, but it also impacted her schooling because she often had to step in and help the family.
Yeah.
And it's this resilience and strength of character that I think we really see come through in her later life.
Absolutely. In a sort of turning point, it's at her Catholic boarding school that she actually chooses the name Albertina
Got it.
from a list that her teachers provide.
Interesting.
You know who knew what impact that name would have on history?
Talk about a pivotal moment.
Right, yeah.
Mhm.
And then in 1940, she moved to Johannesburg to train as a nurse.
Okay.
And this is where she encountered even more, I guess, blatant racism firsthand.
Right.
Sadly, it would become a recurring theme in her life.
Heartbreaking, but not surprising for the time.
Exactly. And this brings us to 1941 when she met Walter Sisulu.
Okay.
He was a real estate agent and a deeply active member of the African National Congress.
Got it.
And their paths intertwining feels like destiny.
I see it.
They married in 1944.
Okay.
And this wedding was more than just a wedding.
Oh, how so?
Nelson Mandela was Walter's best man.
Oh, wow.
And Mandela's first wife was a bridesmaid.
Wow.
It really shows you how interconnected this group of activists were.
Yeah, it wasn't just a personal connection. It was like the heart of a movement coming together.
Yeah. And there's even an anecdote about Anton Lembede,
Okay.
who was a prominent ANC figure.
Hmm.
He warned Albertina at the wedding reception.
What did he say?
He told her, "You are marrying a man already married to the nation."
That's so powerful. It almost foreshadows the path her life would take.
Right, because while initially she focused on raising their family as apartheid intensified, she couldn't stay silent.
Right.
By the 1950s, she was a key figure in the ANC Women's League.
Oh, wow.
We're talking major campaigns like the 1956 Women's March against past laws.
Right. Pass laws, for those who might not know, were basically these internal passports that control the movement of Black South Africans.
Yes, exactly.
And they were a blatant tool of oppression designed to restrict and control the lives of Black people.
Yeah.
So the Women's March with Albertina at the forefront was a real bold statement of defiance against this unjust system.
And in 1958, she's arrested
Oh, no.
for participating in another women's march.
I see.
And guess who acted as her lawyer?
I don't know who.
Nelson Mandela.
Oh, wow.
It shows again how intertwined their lives were, both personally and politically. Yeah, and it also highlights the lengths that the apartheid government would go to suppress any kind of dissent, even targeting women who dared to challenge the status quo.
Yeah, her activism wasn't a hobby.
Hmm.
It was very much woven into the fabric of her life.
Yeah,
And the consequences were very real.
absolutely. This is where we see the brutality of the apartheid regime come into sharp focus.
Yeah.
Throughout the 1960s, 70s, and 80s, she endured just this constant barrage of banning orders, detentions, even criminal charges simply for speaking out against injustice.
It's hard to imagine living under that constant threat.
It is.
There's a powerful quote
Okay.
where she reflects on this persecution and she says, "Nothing could have pleased me more."
Wow, that's defiant and almost paradoxical. What does she mean by that?
Yeah, I know. It's this incredible spirit of defiance.
Yeah.
It's like she refuses to be silenced by these actions.
Yeah, and it's remarkable because even when she was in prison, she never stopped leading.
In 1983, while she was in solitary confinement, she became the co-president of the newly formed United Democratic Front, which was a major anti-apartheid organization.
I mean, how do you even orchestrate something like that from prison?
I have no idea.
Ah.
It's incredible.
What kind of strategies did she employ?
It really speaks to her leadership skills and her strategic thinking.
Yeah.
Imagine the challenge, limited communication, constant surveillance.
Right.
And yet she managed to rally people and inspire action and essentially build a movement from behind bars.
That's incredible.
It's a testament to her strength and the deep respect that she commanded.
Yeah.
And around this time, her relationship with Winnie Mandela,
Okay.
Nelson Mandela's wife,
Right.
takes on this more complex dimension.
Okay.
It was complicated.
Yeah, it was. Albertina, on one hand, was trying to curb some of the more controversial activities associated with the Mandela United Football Club, which was closely linked to Winnie.
Right.
But at the same time, she recognized Winnie's powerful role as a symbol of resistance.
It must have been such a delicate balance.
It was
trying to navigate the internal politics of the movement and at the same time, all this pressure from the apartheid regime.
absolute.
How do you even stay true to your values in all that turmoil?
That's a question that I think really gets to the heart of her character, and it's something we'll explore further as we delve deeper into her story.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Awesome.
And it's incredible to think about the personal sacrifices that she and her family made, even beyond her own imprisonment. With Walter imprisoned on Robben Island for like almost 3 decades, their home in Orlando West became like a central hub
Wow.
for ANC activities.
It really was like a haven for the movement. It wasn't just a meeting place. It was a place of warmth and connection in a time of, intense struggle and fear.
Right. And amidst all of that, she was raising their 5 children, often under just incredibly difficult circumstances. I can't imagine trying to maintain some sense of normalcy
Right.
while constantly being harassed by the apartheid police.
And yet she did. And it's remarkable that even with those hardships, she managed to instill in her children such a deep sense of purpose and social responsibility.
Yeah.
Her son Max, for instance, went on to become the Speaker of the National Assembly in post-apartheid South Africa.
Yeah, it really shows that her dedication to justice wasn't just a political stance. It was really like ingrained in her family life.
Yeah.
But it wasn't easy.
Yeah.
I read that she had to get special permission from the police just to talk to her son
Really?
while they were both under banning orders.
Oh, wow.
Can you explain what a banning order is and what it meant for her?
Yeah, so a banning order was a tool that the apartheid government used to silence and control individuals that they deemed a threat.
Okay.
And it would restrict your movement, your ability to work, even who you could associate with.
It was like they were trying to control every aspect of your life.
Exactly.
So for Albertina, it meant that she couldn't attend gatherings, speak publicly, or even leave her home for certain periods of time. It's crazy how they would even restrict basic human interaction within a family.
It's almost absurd if it weren't so tragic.
Exactly. And one source mentions that she joked
Okay.
about this absurdity of having to get permission to speak to her own son.
What did she say?
She said, "What was I supposed to do? Not ask him what he wanted for breakfast."
That's incredible, that dry humor in the face of such oppression.
Right. She never let them break her spirit. But, beyond those restrictions on her movement and stuff, these banning orders had very real
Well
consequences.
said, absolutely. They limited her career opportunities, made it incredibly difficult to earn a living, and cut her off from her support network.
It's a testament to her strength that she never wavered in her commitment.
It really is.
It's no wonder that she earned that title, Mother of the Nation.
Right.
She was fighting for the soul of South Africa, not just political change.
Yeah, and her influence extended far beyond her own family.
Yeah.
She became a mentor and a guiding force for countless young activists.
One detail I found really touching was that her protégés were affectionately known as Miss Sisulu's girls. They even formed like an underground ANC cell for women
Oh, wow.
called Tusang Basadi, which means wake up women.
That's so powerful. It speaks to a different kind of leadership, one that's
Yeah.
built on nurturing and empowerment, not just issuing directives.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
She was shaping the movement from the ground up.
Yeah.
And she did all of this while navigating the complexities of her personal relationships.
Right.
We touched upon her connection with Winnie Mandela, which was often fraught with tension,
Yeah.
especially regarding the activities of the Mandela United Football Club.
Right. On one hand, she was very critical of the football club's methods, which often involved violence and intimidation.
Yeah.
But at the same time, she was very close to both Nelson and Winnie and recognized Winnie's importance as a symbol of resistance.
That's what's been so difficult to try to balance all of that.
It highlights a really crucial point, I think. The anti-apartheid movement wasn't a monolith. There were internal disagreements and varying approaches to resistance. It wasn't always a united front. And Albertina had to navigate those complexities with, I think, a lot of grace and dignity.
It makes you wonder how she did it.
Yeah, it must have taken incredible strength to maintain those personal relationships amidst all of that political turmoil.
It really does.
It speaks to her ability to hold multiple perspectives, to see the humanity in those with whom she disagreed.
It's a quality that seems increasingly rare these days
It really does.
in our own often very polarized political landscape.
You're right. In a world where it's so easy to demonize those who hold different views, I think Albertina's example is incredibly relevant.
Yeah.
She reminds us of the importance of dialogue, of
Yeah.
trying to understand where others are coming from, even when we disagree.
It's not about shying away from difficult conversations.
Mm.
It's about approaching them with empathy and a willingness to listen.
Exactly.
Her life is really a testament to staying true to your values, even when you're faced with these seemingly insurmountable challenges.
It is.
It reminds us that the fight for justice, for a more equitable world, is a marathon, not a sprint.
And it's a fight that requires courage, compassion, and a deep belief in the power of collective action.
Those are all qualities we can learn from her life.
Absolutely.
So as we move into the final chapter of this deep dive,
Yeah.
what are some of the key takeaways you want our listener to reflect on?
Well, I think first and foremost, Albertina's story challenges us to think about our own roles in creating a more just world.
Yeah.
How can we embody her spirit of courage and compassion in our own lives?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And how do we navigate those complexities, those
Yeah.
inevitable disagreements,
Yeah.
while still holding on to our values and
Yeah.
working towards a common goal?
And let's not forget the personal sacrifices involved in fighting for what's right.
Yeah.
Her story is a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit and the profound impact one person can have on the world.
It's really striking how her story continued, even after the fall of apartheid. It wasn't just a simple happy ending,
Oh, yeah. She had this really active political career. She served in the first Democratic Parliament.
Yeah.
But she was also dealing with a lot of personal loss in a country that was really grappling with a painful past.
And this is where I think her involvement with the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, the TRC,
Right.
becomes such a pivotal moment.
Right.
We talked about how controversial her testimony was,
Yeah.
especially regarding Winnie Mandela and the murder of Dr. Asvat, who was an anti-apartheid activist killed while Albertina was working as a nurse in his surgery.
Right.
But it wasn't just the content of her testimony, it was the way that she was treated by some members of the TRC that really struck me.
Yeah, it's almost shocking when you read about it now.
Yeah,
They essentially accused her of lying to protect Winnie Mandela.
right.
They even brought up this idea of struggle morality,
Yeah,
suggesting that her actions during the struggle against apartheid justified a different set of ethical standards.
imagine the emotional weight of that.
Yeah.
You've dedicated your life to this cause, faced imprisonment and persecution, only to have your integrity questioned by a commission that's meant to heal the nation's wounds.
It really underscores the point that the transition to democracy wasn't this clean break from the past. The scars ran deep, and even in this new era, there were still power dynamics at play.
Right.
But what's inspiring is that Albertina just, she stood her ground,
She did.
defended her integrity, and ultimately evidence did emerge to support her account.
She emerged even stronger.
She did.
But it shows how complex that period was.
Yeah.
There were difficult choices, lingering pain, and a long road to reconciliation.
And it's through understanding these personal stories, I think, these nuances, that we get a much richer understanding of South African history.
Absolutely. What about the later years of her life? After retiring from Parliament in 1999, she and Walter moved to the suburb of Linden.
Okay.
And sadly, she witnessed his death in 2003 after a long illness.
That must have been heartbreaking after so many years together.
It must have been. But even in her grief, she found ways to honor him. She even wrote a poem
Oh, wow.
for his funeral titled, "Walter, What Do I Do Without You?"
That's a powerful image. And it speaks volumes about the depth of their love and partnership.
Yeah.
And despite the personal losses, she never lost sight of her commitment to social justice.
Yeah.
She remained a powerful advocate for the poor and marginalized right up until her passing in 2011.
And her contributions were recognized in so many ways.
They were.
She received honorary doctorates from several universities, and even a major freeway in Johannesburg was named in her honor.
It's fitting that her legacy is so deeply embedded in the landscape of South Africa, you know?
Yeah.
She became a symbol not just of the struggle against apartheid, but of resilience, compassion, and just an unwavering dedication to a better future for her nation.
It's truly an inspiring legacy. To think that one person facing so much adversity could have such a profound impact on the world.
It's a reminder that we all have the potential to make a difference, you know?
Yeah.
That no matter the challenges, we can choose to stand up for what we believe in, to fight for a more just and equitable society.
As we wrap up this deep dive, I'm left with this feeling of awe and gratitude for her life. She wasn't just a political figure. She was a mother, a wife, a nurse, a mentor, a friend.
Right.
And her story really embodies that spirit of Ubuntu,
Yeah.
the interconnectedness of all humanity.
Beautifully said. And I think a fitting final thought for our listeners today is how can we embody the spirit of Albertina Sisulu in our own lives? How can we translate her courage and compassion into action, however small, to make the world a better place?
That is a question worth pondering. Thanks for joining us on this journey. Until next time, keep diving deep.